In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Aurora Leonardo Da Vinci limited edition fountain pen. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links to the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. Here we have the Aurora Leonardo Da Vinci limited edition fountain pen. The retail price for this particular version with the red or the burgundy resin body, I believe in the short that I made I said this was lacquer, but I later learned that this is actually resin. The retail price for this version is 2,900 euros. They do a full gold plate version for 3,600. They do a solid gold version with rubies in the clip here for $30,000. And they do a black resin body version with chrome trim for 2,200 euros. So this is a very expensive pen. I had a lot of trouble getting information on this pen. Like, Aurora doesn't provide much of anything on their website. I have the original box and paperwork, and there's really just not much there about this particular pen. Basically, we have a gold-plated cap with some of Leonardo da Vinci's drawings engraved and I believe filled with lacquer. Not 100% sure on that, but I believe this is a lacquer filling on the inside, which is the same matching burgundy color to the resin body. Now, the pen itself is quite straight. I don't believe there's any taper to this resin on the body. We do have a blind cap here, which is gold. And then on the cap, we have pretty much a straight body here. It does taper down on this cap ring here, which says Aurora and Italy. And then we can just see some of these engravings more up close here. Pretty cool looking. These are numbered. They made 1,919 after the year of Aurora's founding. In this particular version, I'm not sure what the production numbers were for the other versions. Pure gold plating on the finial there. There's nothing special there. The clip is obviously a big standout. This is, a Leonardo da Vinci inspired design. It is spring loaded and it moves actually quite a bit off of there. It feels very high quality. Interestingly, this inner part here doesn't seem super, like the finish is not smooth on the inside there, which is interesting. I'm not sure why they did it that way, but the rest of it is very well finished. It's, solid metal. It looks, really nice with these cutouts here. Very unique looking. Now, going back to that blind cap, this is a notch filler, and I've stuck some tissue in here because otherwise the notch here wiggles. To fill this pen, it's basically like a lever filler. If we look close, you can see this little pin in here, and when you turn this notch, that pin is depressed inward and it squeezes a sac inside the body. So you would stick the nib in an inkwell or a bottle of ink, and you would flip this knob down and it'll depress that pin and push the sac and squeeze, and then when it's released, it'll pull ink into the body. So it's basically like a lever filler. This is the most pretty looking notch filler I've used. I have a Aurora Superna, which is a vintage pen that also uses this same filling system. Pilot, a lot of their older pens used that type of filling system. I remember my Pilot 500 Super used that filling system. Not my favorite. I mean, this is certainly a beautiful version of that, but it's basically a lever filler, and those are harder to clean out completely. So I prefer a piston filler cartridge converter, but otherwise it's not bad. Now, in terms of the cap, it takes about 1¼ turns to remove. And here's another very interesting part of this pen. That is the nib here. And this is a very pointy nib with 2 deep indentations on the side of it. This was the nib that we first saw on the Aurora Kona, which was a Giorgetto Giugiaro design. Very pretty, 18 karat gold. I do not know if the feed is ebonite or plastic. It's pretty nicely, it's pretty smooth looking. My guess is it's ebonite, but it certainly could be plastic. Now, with the cap off, we can see we have, a ring here and then some plastic and then another ring and a plastic grip section. There are no seams on this grip section, so it is well finished as you would hope for a pen of this price. Threading here, and then we have this sort of weird metal gold plated like sleeve thing here right after the threading. So I hold, the nib back, the pen back here. You really probably wouldn't want to hold it this close, but very cool, unusual looking nib. Let's do some measurements. In terms of the length, we're looking at about 140 millimeters, uncapped 126 millimeters, posted. This thing does post. It becomes long and it becomes very top heavy, so I don't really recommend it, but it certainly does post securely. This would be about 168 millimeters posted. Now, in terms of the grip section, at the widest point here, just above that metal trim ring, 10.4, and then right before the threading, as it does taper down, 9.4, and then the width of the body, 12.2. It's not a big grip section. I do find this pen to be very comfortable, but you don't have as much space like you would on an Aurora Optima to grip. But I do find this to be a very comfortable pen to use. Now, in terms of the weight, 28.8 grams without the cap, and with the cap, 48 grams. So it's a weighty pen, it has a very premium feel to it. Now let's compare it to some other pens here for reference. So here it is with a Lamy Safari. It's roughly the same size. Here it is with an Aurora Optima. And then finally here it is with a Mont Blanc 149. So it's a full-size pen. It's not a super fat pen. I would say the Aurora Optima is fatter, but comfort-wise, because you're going to probably be using this unposted, this is really excellent. For the writing sample, I'm going to be using a Papermind Mitsubishi bank paper notebook. These notebooks are excellent with fountain pens, and for Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Aurora Leonardo. This is a fine, and this is Parker Washable Blue. We'll try fast writing. Zero performance issues. In terms of flexibility, this is a 18 karat gold nib. There's a touch of softness to it, so you can get a little bit of line variation, but really in normal writing, you're not going to see any of that. Now, in terms of reverse writing, it seems like it's actually decently finished. It's not the smoothest, but the difference between reverse and right side up is pretty small. So it can do it, but kind of what's the point? So in terms of the feel, this is relatively smooth for a fine nib. I will say I would be very curious to try like the medium version of this nib, because the medium version of the Aurora nibs, like on an Aurora Optima, are pretty distinctive. They have a toothiness that I'm not really sure I'm finding here quite as much. But overall, this is a really, really nice writing nib and such a cool looking nib. Really no performance issues with this pen. So what are my pros and cons for the Aurora Leonardo Da Vinci limited edition fountain pen? Well, I think the looks of this pen are really the ultimate reason why you would want to buy this pen. It looks really cool. It has some of Leonardo da Vinci's sketches engraved. You have this very cool Leonardo da Vinci inspired clip, which looks really unique. You have the very unusual nib from the Giugiaro designed Aurora Kona, which really is quite special. You have the notch filling system, which is very rare on a modern pen. There's just a lot of unusual details on this pen that I think make it special. I also think that it writes very well because it is an Aurora. It's a comfortable size and has a nice quality feel to it. In terms of cons, the biggest con for me is the price. This pen retails for 2,900 euros. And I don't understand why. As somebody that reviews fountain pens, I don't know why. I looked at the Aurora website. I've tried to find more details on it. I have the original box and all the paperwork. I don't know why this is so expensive. You know, I think about like the Aurora Royal collection, which has these beautiful guilloche bodies with sterling silver trims, and they're like 2,400 euros. So why is this with a resin and a gold-plated cap so much more expensive? I don't get it. Is it the nib? I don't think the Kona was that expensive when that came out. Now, I was able to get this, I believe, in like the 600 euro range. At that price, this is a really nice pen, and I can certainly recommend it. The other con that I would say is the filling mechanism. As I showed, I put a piece of tissue in here so that the thing doesn't wiggle, which is annoying. Also, it's basically like a sack. You know, it has a sack inside, so cleaning it is basically like a lever fill kind of cleaning. Not very easy to get all of the ink out, so I'd be pretty careful about what inks you put in this pen because it's not that easy to clean out. The other con I would say is it's not really a pen that I would post. It doesn't post very far down, and it becomes very top heavy, back weighted when you do that. So not great for that, but otherwise, you know, it's a very cool looking pen. It's a great writing pen. I enjoy using it. Don't get the price at all, but that's pretty much it with this pen. Do you like this pen? Do you have this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.